Bringing an old existing garden back into shape, a garden that was growing wild for 30 years. That is a bit like trying to improve teaching in a university setup where you don't have really a blank space. Inherited a messy course? Too much content, outdated materials, zero alignment, and no time to fix it? You are definitely not alone. Most new faculty walk into such chaos, but there is a simple way to take control without burning out. In this video, you will learn how to prune what is not working, refresh what matters, and rebuild a course that actually supports learning and your well-being. Stepping into a new faculty role often feels like inheriting an overgrown garden. You are handed a course full of dense materials, outdated slides, mismatched assessments, and a structure that no longer reflects how students learn today. But there is a way to survive this transition and even thrive. A simple and sustainable framework, which I call Prune, Refresh, Rebuild. Most new faculty discover quickly that teaching is not just delivering content. It is managing someone else's legacy, often a legacy built over years and decades of patchwork fixes. You inherit old slides, mismatched readings, assessments that don't match outcomes, and a syllabus that feels like a museum exhibit. You're not alone. This overwhelm is totally normal, and the good news is it is fixable. The first step is prune, that is, clearing the overgrowth. Pruning is not destruction. It is intentional removal to create space for learning. Start by removing outdated content, redundant topics, and assessments that do not measure what you actually want students to learn. Use constructive alignment as your pruning tool. Ask yourself, does this activity or assessment support the learning outcome? If the answer is no, prune it. This step alone reduces cognitive load for you and your students. Once the clutter is gone, you can refresh what remains. Refreshing does not mean rewriting the entire course. It means updating the core so the course feels alive and relevant. Modernize examples, update readings, improve clarity, and tighten the flow. This is where constructive alignment becomes your compass. Your outcomes, activities, and assessments should point in the same direction. Use Bloom's taxonomy to check the cognitive level. Are you asking students to remember, analyze, or to create? This is very important. Here is a simple example. If your outcome is analyze data, then your activity and the assessment should also require analysis and not just memorization. The final step is rebuild, designing for long-term sustainability. Rebuilding means creating a course that grows with you instead of draining you every semester. Rebuild the sequence of topics, the cognitive progression, and the assessment strategy so everything works together. Use Bloom's taxonomy as your scaffolding. Design your course so that students move upward through the levels. This upward movement gives your course a spine and a clear path of growth. Small changes and strategic changes create big impact for you and for your students. Teaching does not have to be overwhelming. With a little cultivation, your course can thrive, and so can you. Prune, refresh, rebuild. This is a simple framework for thriving in academia. I will tell you one example from my teaching life where I applied prune and refresh successfully. I had to take over a lecture very spontaneously. It was a lecture built from 50, 60 PowerPoint slides. I had nothing else to go with it, and there were just information lecture slides. It was nothing really curated for an interactive, engaging course with the students. So the quick fix was prune, refresh, rebuild. I only could acquire the prune and refresh phase. For prune, I did jump over the slides that I found that were too much information. The students already had the slides, so I could not cut them, but I was focusing on the PowerPoint slides in the class where I found the most important information was on. So the other slides I marked and I just jumped over them basically, and this was clear that then the students had this information, but they could ignore it for now. For the refresh, I did a quick fix. I added an overview of the learning goals for the lesson by going through the slides, keeping all of the structure as it was, and identifying the core key take-home messages, which then at the same time were reflecting the learning goals. Also for refresh, I used extensively the whiteboard. I put the learning goals before the lesson started on the whiteboard, and then the whiteboard could be used as a roadmap. The students were seeing what we would talk about in the lecture, and also they knew a little bit better where we are and what the relevance of everything is. With another colored pen, I wrote the learning goals in black on the whiteboard, and I used then a green pen. I indicated that we have checked now this box, that we discussed this, and I used also the whiteboard to interact with the students, to ask them what they already know about this keyword or subject or topic, and this refreshed the course extensively, and it was totally different and much better than just talking. Teaching is like reviving a garden. The garden has overgrown for 30 years, and it's the university. A lot of people came and go, left their footprints in the teaching, and sometimes it's not so easy to revive an old system because we do not want to remove everything and start from scratch. It's also not possible. We have to select and be very careful in our actions, and then it's working. So what is the key to reviving an existing wild garden? Being patient, seeing the bigger picture, starting small. You can't change everything, otherwise you would need to destroy everything. Learn about each plant, learn about each course. How do they fit together? What does each plant need? Then step by step with a plan, revive. Number 1 is giving the plants air, so away with all the rubbish. Then healthy back cutting, but not radically healthy, and step by step. Yeah. And then adding here and there something new. And that is really what works. Keep your old garden healthy. Happy teaching.